No, nothing good starts in the getaway car. It was the best of times, the worst of crimes. Strong and fat and million man, but I didn't mean it, and you didn't see it.
Hey everybody, it's been 18 months or so since we've owned a Nova Terra Sportz Caravan, and we thought it would be useful to do a bit of a reflection on the ownership experience. If you're like us and you're navigating buying a caravan, you too undoubtedly have found that it's a pretty hard thing to work through. There are literally hundreds of manufacturers out there delivering a range of different configurations of caravans, and it's hard to know what you need, and even harder to sort of work out what's good value, what's good quality, what's going to be reliable for you. And so I thought it'd be useful for people contemplating buying a Terra Sportz or indeed a Nova to give you a bit of insight into our experience, which I should say has been primarily a good one. I guess a few of the things that we landed on, a few principles that we used to help us work out what caravan to buy, was working out how we wanted to use it. And we really wanted to have a fair bit of freedom to go where we wanted to and to do some free camping. So an off-road van became an easy choice for us. We also wanted it to be of a manageable size. We didn't want it too big and too heavy. We wanted to be able to tow it without having to launch into major upgrades to a car or even buying a truck. We want it to be value for money, so representing good quality, good style, good materials at a price point that was reasonable. And there are a few things that kept bringing us back to Nova. Partly the price, partly the reputation, but also that sense of value. The Nova came with all of the sort of contemporary features that we were attracted to. You know, it's full composite construction, disc brakes, air suspension. We're able to get a 2-axle 18'6" van. It looks good, very comfortable. The bed is amazingly comfortable, I should say, and a decent floor space with which to work with. And something that was pretty important to us, we've got a 10-year-old daughter, and we didn't want to buy a bunk van. Lots and lots of people have told us that once children get to sort of 13 years of age or thereabouts, there's a high likelihood that they will have a preference for sleeping outside in a tent. And so we didn't want to commit ourselves to having a bunk that we would never use. And so that meant we opted for a centre door option, and that provided us the ability to have a really long-shaped L lounge that would, when converted to a bed, would nearly equate to a full-size bed. And so even if our daughter, as she got older, if she continued to travel with us, she had the option to be able to sleep inside with us or go it alone outside. So in December 2022 we placed an order, and exactly 12 months later, in December 2023, we received a call to say our caravan had been ready. So it was a long wait, but we were well aware that the delivery times were quite extended. At that time, manufacturers were still trying to keep up with the significant demand created through the COVID epidemic. So some of the things we opted for when we bought the van were to increase the off-grid capability. And so we upgraded to 840 watts of solar. We increased the lithium capacity to 600 watts. We added a 3000 watt inverter, upgraded to a telescopic table. That was pretty critical because you need to be able to lower the table to convert the lounge to a bed. We upgraded the fridge to a 275 litre, which is a Thetford fridge, and I believe Nova supply that as standard in their Terra Sportz nowadays. And we included a gas heater. So it's now April 2025 and we've had probably 4 or 5 trips in the van. One, an extended trip over into Victoria where we stayed at Halls Gap, and the others have been up to the Flinders Ranges, which is where I am now. And so that's given us a good sense of how the van works. It's helped us identify some of the issues that we need to resolve, and I'm pretty confident that we've ironed out all the bugs. On the whole, I can say it's been a pretty decent van. As I said, it's not been without a few problems, and primarily related to the electrical system, which I'll talk about a bit later. But we're really happy with the van. It tows fantastically, and very, very comfortable and very functional. And the more I've used it, the more confidence I've got in it. In hindsight, one of the upgrades that I did not for, which I actually regret every time I use the van now, is not upsizing the front toolbox. The configuration of the standard toolbox has your 2 gas bottles inside and then a generator area on the driver's side, and it's just not a functional toolbox. Ideally, it'd be good to have something that was a bit larger that would enable us to put our barbecue in on the passenger side and have that to be able to slide out, rather than having to stow it in the tunnel boot and drag out a table and everything every time we want to do some cooking. So that's a bit of annoyance. It keeps niggling me, so there's a good chance I'll address that sometime in the future. As I talked about earlier, because we wanted to be able to accommodate sleeping arrangements for our daughter, we opted for an L-shaped lounge. And in the centre door configuration, the L-shaped lounge is perfect. You do have to upgrade to a telescopic table, of course, and you have to buy an extra cushion insert. And it's probably one of the disappointments in terms of how that's configured. The cushion that's supplied, it's great quality, but the lounge itself has actually got a rounded bit at the edge of it. I don't know if they call that a bumper or something, but it's slightly elevated, and then when you put the cushion in, the cushion is actually at a lower height, and so it means that as a bed, the combination of those cushions make it really impractical to sleep on unless you've got another surface over the top of it. I think that's something that Nova could easily rectify by making the cushion at the same level as the rounded section. I should say, the seats are a seat, and so it'll never suffice as a perfectly comfortable bed, but I think that would help. At the moment, we have to get towels and prop the pillow up using them to make it a bit more functional. So no van comes complete when you buy it, and we've added quite a few things to the van since its purchase. We've added a stone stopper. That's a necessity in my mind. It is a reasonable investment, but it works so well and saves you from littering the front of the van with stone chips, etc. We've also added Mopica Pro sensors to our gas bottles, and that enables us to keep an eye on the levels of gas with our gas bottles via our phone and through our upgraded electronics system. a rear jerry can holder. Whilst the front toolbox has two areas for jerry cans, we opted to add an additional one on the rear bumper just to help us manage our ball weight. Our ball weights when delivered was sitting at around 290 kilos, so it's got a bit of capacity left, but it's obviously getting up there, and so this helps us manage our weights if we need to. We also changed our main light switches. There are 4 external lights on the Terra Sportz, and the one on the driver's side and the one on the passenger side have the ability to change to a yellow light, which is great. The problem is that Nova have the normal light and the yellow light wired up to individual switches. That means both the driver's side and passenger light come on at the same time. So look, it's a small inconvenience, but if you're in a caravan park or a camping site or whatever, it means that both sides of the caravan are illuminated when you're using the light. And we had an issue where someone was sleeping next to us in a swag, and the light bothered them, and it meant we either had to have it on and bother them or not have it on at all. So we've since had those lights rewired to give us the functionality to turn them on independently, as well as turn on the clear and yellow light independently for each light. It wasn't a big job and very inexpensive. Something else which I found curious in the Terra Sportz is our caravan came with 2 95-litre water tanks, and each of those are independently plumbed, and there's a pump for each of those. And so one feeds the filtered water tap on the sink, whereas the other tank supplies all the other water needs, from washing up to showers. So it's great that you can actually have a dedicated drinking water or drinking tank. One of the downsides of that is that obviously you go through the consumption of the general water at a much faster rate than you do the drinking water, and there's no way to actually transfer water between tanks. So what we've done, we just bought a couple of John Guest fittings and cut a tap in between the 2 lines that feed to the pumps, and that means that we can switch over to whichever tank we want to help us manage our water a lot better. And so that's a great solution, and something I think Nova could add as standard. So a few other things we've done. We've bought a whole heap of Cedar Summit packing cubes. We found them awesome because we're able to pack our clothes in them and stack them up into the various drawers and cupboards in the caravan. Packing cubes have a mesh front to them so you can see what's in them, and it not only secures your clothes but means that you've got easy access and easy storage. They make packing so much easier. We've also bought a variety of the suction accessories, from hooks for hanging up our hats to containers in the shower and the kitchen for storing things in. They're a real godsend. So the ownership experience has been largely a good one. We've had a few things go wrong. Probably the first thing that went astray was the screws came out the back of the handle on one of the drawers, and that meant that you couldn't open the drawer and that the latch was permanently up. So it was actually really difficult to get the drawer out and screw the screws in. So lesson learnt, It was easy fix. We've since unscrewed them all, applied Loctite, and reaffixed them, and have not experienced that again since. We've also had the drawer fronts come a bit loose. In fact, I'm being fussy, but the drawer fronts in front of the sink, the top ones, a slight angle. Most people probably wouldn't think twice about it, but it's just a quality issue. I would prefer it if it was better squared up, but something I'll live with. I mean, to be fair to Nova, I've not raised it as a warranty issue at all. It's not worth dragging the van back to have someone fix it, to be honest with you. Another issue that we experienced, we've had mice in the van, and I really couldn't work out where they were coming from. All the external venting is screened, so there's no way a rodent could get in. And from what I could see, everything, all the pipes under the sink, etc., were adequately siliconed up. Long story short, we eventually did discover a couple of entrance points. There's pipe work that gets fed in from behind the bathroom drawers, and they hadn't been siliconed up, and indeed rats are able to access the rear of that area, and then I'm assuming probably be able to walk down that pipe and squeeze through those entrance ways. But also where all the electrical components came in under the seat to feed the projector unit, there was a significant open hole there that hadn't been siliconed up either. Again, I've just used some Celastic, easy enough job to have fixed, but nonetheless, it's not something you want to have happen, is mice entering your caravan, particularly when it's being stored, because the potential for them to do damage is quite high. And really, it's a quality issue that is an easy thing. I mean, a product like Nova, these little things can damage your brand, and I think on the whole, Nova's a really good brand, and so if they're able to fix some of these things, it will just remove some of these small annoyances. So a couple of other issues that we found after our trip away to the Grampians. We were back in Adelaide, and I was cleaning the van, and when I turned the pumps on, the pumps kept running even though we didn't have any taps open. And then when I walked outside of the van, I could see that there's this water gushing out the back of the caravan. The difficulty is that where it was leaking from, there's actually no way of actually accessing that area, or even getting visibility into that area. So at that stage, came back in the van, turned the pump off, pulled the drawers out in the bathroom, where I noticed that there are a couple of pipes, and I pushed on the pipes, hoping that the leak was as a result of a loose John Guest fitting. So and that seemed to fix it, and I hoped that would be the end of it. Unfortunately, some months later, when I turned the water on, I had the same issue again, and so I did ring the South Australian repairer for Nova here, and he said to have another go at sealing the pipes by pushing on the pipe from behind the bathroom. Unfortunately, that didn't fix it, and regardless, I wasn't completely satisfied with that as a solution. And I should say that he said bring it back if I wasn't able to fix it, and they'd fix it under warranty, so there was no dramas there. But I find it quite a hassle, finding time off work and getting your van, taking it to a dealer. So I wanted to be able to see if I could fix it myself. And on a hunch, I thought, well, maybe I'd be able to access the pipes by removing the outdoor shower at the back of the van. So I undid the screws, and sure enough, that the outdoor shower isn't siliconed. It's actually got a gasket that seals it off against the composite. And so I was able to lift that out, and then that gave me complete visibility and access to all the pipes. And sure enough, I was able to easily fix it by removing the pipe, cutting it off square and reinserting it. Something I have noticed though, and I don't know if this is true for all vans that use John Guest fittings, but no locking clips are put on the John Guest fittings, and the John Guest fittings seal perfectly well without them, but I guess the locking clips give you the extra sense of security to make sure a pipe's not going to be removed. So I did purchase a small bag of those. They're very inexpensive, and applied those, and I've not had a problem ever since then. So I'm glad I was able to fix it myself. Probably the biggest disappointment that I've had with the caravan relates to the electrical system, and until recently I would consider myself a complete novice on 12 volt systems, and in fact when we bought the van, most of my education had come from YouTube caravan shows. So I sort of had a sense for the size batteries that I require, but that was probably the extent of it. And so when I bought the van, I made the assumption that when I upgraded the solar and upgraded the lithium, put a 3000 watt inverter and the like, that the rest of the system would be scaled accordingly. Unfortunately, that's not quite the experience that I had, and so during the time that we were waiting for the van to be built, I did press on the dealer a fair bit to try and get some clarity about what components would be included in the system, and I found it a pretty difficult exercise, if I'm honest. The dealer, whilst they had the best endeavours, they didn't know much about 12 volt systems either, and it was difficult to ask the right questions. And it wasn't until the van was about to be supplied did I have some better visibility around the componentry that was going to be included in the van. So working through that and with the dealer, I was able to make some minor tweaks to that, but I was told that that was going to be sufficient. Well, unfortunately, it simply wasn't, and the scale of the battery system didn't match up with the scale of the charging capability, both via solar or indeed on 240 volts. So a few things happened, unfortunately. Our first trip, we ran out of battery, and in fact, even though our projector system was indicating that it had plenty of battery capacity, the batteries went flat. So the first lesson we had was that the projector shunt had not been turned on, and therefore the projector system wasn't actually indicating the correct charge. So that fixed that issue. Now, second trip away, and the batteries went flat again, and that was for a couple of reasons. One, the charging capability in the system wasn't able to keep up, and clearly there were some faults in the system. So on the first occasion, the caravan had gone back to the dealer and then back to the factory, and they did supply an additional or an expanded charging capability for 240 volts at that stage. but after that second trip it was clear that the system still wasn't up to scratch. Now Nova and Projector have been pretty good through this process, and they had us doing a whole range of different testing and the like, but if I'm honest with you, the amount of intervention required by me to do all of the testing became a bit onerous, and at times I also felt out of my depth in actually understanding what it was that I was testing or doing. So I had a good chat to Nova, and then they agreed to enable me to get a Sparky out to try and fix the issue, which I did, and Nova paid for it, so that was great. But again, as part of this learning, I mean, Sparkies, as far as 12 volt goes, you've got to find one that really knows their stuff if you want to get a good outcome for your caravan. And so after all that, the system still didn't perform very well, and certainly didn't instill us with the level of trust that we were required to be able to go away off grid for an extended period of time. So at that point, and after many months of frustration, I decided to go and get an expert Caravan 12 volt Sparky at my own cost, remove the projector system, and replace it with a Victron system. I should say it's a very expensive exercise. Essentially gutted all of the old charging capability, batteries, etc., and replace it with new, as well as upgrading the solar on the roof. And this is our first trip away since that upgrade to our solar system, and it's day and night. This system, whilst we've gone from 840 watt solar to about 1100 odd watts of solar now. We've got the same amount of battery space, and we haven't even dented the batteries. It works like a charm, and the solar capacity is just recharging the batteries so quick. And most of the day yesterday was very, very overcast, not a lot of sun, but with our solar blanket we were able to still recharge our batteries. And today I think we'd recharged our batteries in the first sort of 3 hours of the morning. So look, whilst we've had not a great experience when it comes to the 12 volt system, I guess if I was buying a van again, I'd be a lot more aware of what was required and the componentry that was available on the market, and if I was going to a supplier that didn't supply the particular brand of system I wanted, I'd probably go for a minimum install and have it retrofitted afterwards, or try and work with the manufacturer to get the system that I wanted. The Victron system is chalk and cheese to Projector. That's not to say Projector is not a bad system, but the Victron, from a user experience, is fantastic. It's a really seamless system. So look, in summary, our 18 months of owning a Nova, probably unlike any caravan, it's had its problems, but I think on the whole, those problems, except for the solar or the battery system, are reasonable to be expected of any new product you buy. We're really happy with our caravan. In fact, we love it. We think it's a great van, and we'd encourage anyone looking to buy a van to consider Nova. Look, it's not at the top end of the market, but it's well and truly in the middle of the market, and I think what you get is excellent value for money. I would encourage people to think about their use case, about the practicality of things, like the front toolbox. If you hadn't owned a caravan before, you don't have that hindsight of how you might use it. So, maybe talk to others, and don't be afraid of expressing your needs and validating them, maybe with an independent source first, and then with the dealer or the manufacturer. But we're looking forward to having many excellent trips in our Nova going forward. I should say, in terms of weight, its dry weight's about 2.6, 2.7 tonne. So by the time you fill it with water and all your bits and bobs, you're probably pushing over 3 tonne. But we're towing it behind a next gen Ranger V6, and you can feel it on the back, but it tows it like a dream. It's very sure-footed on the road, and no dramas at all. Well, happy caravanning.